representative from the LREA.
I'm gonna get my phone. I've got some quotes in here. Would you mind bringing me water? Thank
you. Good evening.
Hello.
Okay, Greta. We're going to have to out-chirpy each other for the next year. I'm so excited. I served with Greta on the Volunteers in Public School Board, and she is just a jewel for sure. Good evening. Tonight you see a sea of Little Rock School District employees wearing a t-shirt which states, "I am human capital," with a red strike through the word capital. The reason for these shirts is because at the April 24th school board meeting, when asked how Dr. Suggs planned to pay for a program he would like to implement, he stated, "through human capital." A teacher who was present turned and asked, "Am I human capital?" The teacher was dismayed to be referred to in such a manner. LREA asked that the shirts be worn tonight so that everyone can be reminded that employees are human. We are not buildings, cars, furniture, or anything else that is commonly referred to as capital. The decisions you make on employees impact our students, neighbors, church members, family, and friends. They are life-changing decisions that impact humans, not capital. Please be thoughtful in how employees are referred to as we move forward. Although it was not planned, because this was planned before, the I Am Human Capital t-shirt segue perfectly into the discussion about the professional negotiated agreement between the Little Rock School District and the Little Rock Education Association for custodians. At this time, with your permission, we would like to show a video of clips from the past 3 school board meetings so that LREA can address the concerns and issues that have been raised by school board members.
I think we were all here, weren't we?
Yeah, I would prefer that we just go ahead and make the comments.
Okay, so I want you to know that we've checked with our attorney, and when we were told by administration that it had to be vetted through the superintendent, we've been told that is incorrect. These are in public domain and that we have the right to present it. In response, let me finish, since you didn't allow me to speak the last 3 meetings, and explain the stuff that you allowed to go on and let incorrect information be circulated. I would like, we have a copy of the DVD burnt for each one of you, and we ask you respectfully to at least take the time to go home and watch it. And it will be put in public domain.
Question.
Yes.
The question is, this is the report of the LERA, and other folks make reports and use visuals. I'm just asking, why can't she use it?
If I may answer that, sir?
Well, the board chairperson.
Yes, the request to I don't wish to spend a long time on this because we have so much important things to do, and this can distract us from actually hearing the concerns that you have the right to bring. But the request was to bring a video to show, and the administration asked to be able to preview that video. And obviously that was not cooperated with, to have a chance to preview that video. And I'm in support that if we're going to have a show video here at the board meeting, that there seems to be no problem in having that previewed. But that's a different kind of a communication animal than having someone speak.
Well, I guess I need to ask a further question. When other people bring videos, are they previewed? When other people bring, I'm speaking to the chair, are they previewed?
They are approved by the administration, whoever is running and organizing the meeting.
And do we get information on that, about what's going to be previewed and not to be previewed, and what's approved and not approved? I hadn't received anyone who's brought a video here that tells us that was approved by the administration, not approved, since I've been on the board.
No, most of the videos, sir, that we would be seeing would be from the districts and presentations that we've made, and so those would be administration-sponsored or approved videos, because those would be on something that we have on the agenda.
So that means we have not done this before.
As far as I know, this is a new request.
Right, and so I'm asking, since we're the board and we make that decision, do we need, as a board, to act upon that?
That's my request. It's like for the board members that are present to make that decision, since it's being directed, you're presented to the public and the board.
This is a time of report and not of action items to vote on, I don't think. If people would like, if board members would like to look at the video and show that at another meeting, I think that would be perfectly appropriate.
That's your choice. If you poll your board members that are currently here, I think that would be the preference of the board members present. If you would take a roll call on it, to me would be my suggestion.
If I may,
No,
excuse me, just a
it's
second,
not.
Doctor.
It's
Excuse me.
directed- It's directed to us as a
No,
board.
I know
not
that,
to
and
Dr. Suggs.
excuse me, at this moment, I'm chairing the meeting, and if Dr. Suggs would like to speak.
But I was recognized.
Yes, and do you have more to say, Ms. Curry?
I'm done. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Dr. Suggs, if I may, before your comment, for the people who are here, we are glad that you're here. We are glad that you're interested and engaged. And I think it's perfectly appropriate when our citizens made a comment to acknowledge their comments and to applaud. I would ask you, however, not to intervene in the discussions of the board. This is a board meeting, and we want to be able to talk back and forth, and so we ask you to listen respectfully as you would as a guest in any other board in the town when you came. And so please don't try to interact with the board and making comments or applauding while we're trying to work out an issue. Yes, Dr. Suggs.
clarification, all videos, PowerPoints are viewed before they hit that particular projector by the superintendent or designee. That has been a past practice also, and will continue to be the past practice also. As far as the particular video in question, we asked to put it up there to view it beforehand, and we were denied, so therefore we cannot show it.
I must correct that. That is not true.
Madam,
All I got was an email that stated that it must be approved by the superintendent. I sent an email back, which I CC'd all of you on, and I said, is this correct? Because where is it in board policy? To this moment, unless something's happening right now I don't know about, I have not received an answer from administration as to where this is located in school policy, board policy. However, by the time we got done going through this, we could have watched the video. We will post it where the whole world can see it. It is strictly you all in the school board meetings, and so let the chips fall where they may, and I hope you take the time to watch it.
Thank you, Ms. Kohler. I'll make one comment. I appreciate you with the respect that Ray. One of the reasons, and I would like to at least be able to explain my support of this decision from the administration, is just as we have a person in the media here, one of the things that we know is that when something is quoted or something is presented to us, it can be presented in many different ways depending on how it is edited. It can be true, but it can be edited without a context or at a different kind of context and presented in a different way. And so that is why I don't look at a video as perfectly benign and without being able to see if it's appropriate.
No problems. We have copies for all the press, and they've been notified.
Okay.
And I hope it runs on TV forever.
Yes, Mr. McAdoo.
You backed us into a very precarious situation when you had a situation where only one side could speak.
right.
And now that the other side has an opportunity to speak or do whatever. And that was my uncomfortableness last time when we did this. Because if you have one situation where, and maybe some of the things that were even to be presented could have been not necessarily counted, but could have been talked at that setting, but that it was a one-sided piece. And I didn't appreciate that we were doing that, so I want folks to know that I was not party of that. That was the rule that we had for an agenda meeting, because we couldn't change the agenda meeting format. But if there's something that's to be seen, I'd make a motion that we suspend the rules. If I get a second, I'll speak to it.
Second.
I feel that we need to suspend the rules and vote to show this video so that the side that did not get a chance to speak could at least have an opportunity to show what they may have said at the meeting. And I call for the question on it.
We have a motion by Mr. McAdoo and a second by Ms. Curry to suspend the rules so that we may deal with another issue that is not on the agenda. Are there others who would like to speak to that motion?
I'd like to say this. I'd like to make the comment as well. We did, at our agenda meeting, there was a conversation that went on only one side. If anybody in our audience, some audience did watch, in all fairness, I feel the same way, that this is the opportune time for this group to speak, and it would be anything fairer than that. However, if we need our attorney to come out and address that, in all fairness, maybe we need to call Mr. Heller forth.
What's the question, Ms. Curry, that you wanted to be addressed?
This is the open forum for the LREA to speak. And what would be the issue with that?
It's right behind you.
Like
Are
our
there
attorney
other-
to address that.
Yeah, Dr. Suggs, while Mr. Heller is coming, yes.
Before we,
We got a motion on the floor, though.
Oh, we have a motion.
Yes, yes, we do, and we're discussing the motion.
Is it because of unreadiness? Is that, what's the reason for the discussion?
Yes, because there's still more discussion before voting.
Okay.
before we drag this up, the projector does not work. So you can't show it.
It's not working all of a sudden?
It's not working.
I withdraw my motion.
That's okay. Every one of you and Dr. Suggs is being provided a copy. We will be having it loaded to YouTube, and we will be sending it out. Also, all of the media has been provided it. Just so you know, it strictly has clips of remarks that have been made by board members, Dr. Suggs and Mr. Heller, Vanessa a couple of times, and Teresa Gordon. That's all that's on it. It came directly from public domain.
But Ms. Kohler, let me
Mr.
ask you a
Evans, I withdraw
question.
my motion.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr.
I
Mayor.
withdraw.
Thank you.
Second.
on those clips, I'm trying to figure out, is it something horribly, terribly that we
Well, I'm
said?
going to
Is
now
it
walk you through the whole
ugly? Is
thing.
it-
I'm going to walk you through the whole thing to clear up a lot of the misconceptions that have occurred and the misinformation that has been provided to you over the last few meetings when I was not allowed to speak, or anyone from LREA. So I'm going to walk you through it now, okay?
Okay. Let us
And
go-
you have a full packet of information that backs up what LREA is saying.
If we can go ahead and go on.
Thank you, Mr. Carrero, for thinking I need to speed on
No,
after having...
I'm talking to us. Let's go. Let's let you do it. Let's stop and let you do it.
All right, so at the April 10th, 2014 school board meeting, board member Diane Curry asked the professional negotiated agreement for custodians be placed on the agenda for April 24th for a vote. Dr. Suggs said at that time it would not be ready until May, and that it doesn't go into effect until July 1st, 2014. Teresa Gordon corrected that misstatement and states that it goes into effect once it is voted on, as the dates on it are 2013 through 2016. Furthermore, Dr. Suggs stated that he would discuss it with LREA at our scheduled meeting on April 23rd. In your packet, the third piece in is the agenda from that meeting. Every item that's on that agenda was placed by LREA. Dr. Suggs did not bring the issue of the negotiated agreement to that meeting at all. In fact, once we got done in about 30 minutes, he got up and said, "Are we done?" And he closed his
Ms.
thing and
Kohler.
walked out.
Ms. Kohler, just the same as I would ask the citizens' comments, please do not enter into criticism of any employee of the district. This is not a fair forum to do that.
We were scheduled to meet on May 14th, but since neither party had issues to discuss, the meeting was canceled. And included in your packet, you will see that the next several meetings have been canceled by the superintendent. On May 7th, LREA provided Robert Robinson the professional negotiated agreement that was incorrect, provided it with us, and it had, and with the tentative agreements. We went back and included in there, you have 43 pages of the agreement and the TAs, and we showed specifically where they did not match. I'll give you a great example. Mr. Bailey stood up here and said that he never, oh, excuse me, the CFO stood up here.
That's not the purpose, ma'am. It just, if you tell your story without criticism of anybody by description or name, please, go ahead and give your, please give your story.
Someone incorrectly described that they had never agreed to 2 times their hourly rate of pay for the custodians during negotiations. Included in your packet is a tentative agreement with both the chief negotiator for Little Rock School District and for LREA, which clearly shows both sides signed off on that. That is one of many inaccuracies that have been shared in the last few weeks. On May the 9th, we received them. On May that we still found some things that had not been corrected. On May the 12th, we sent the additional corrections to sync with the tentative agreement. We received a copy with changes, and on Wednesday, May 14th, the lead negotiator and representative of Little Rock School District called and wanted to come to our office, and both he and I signed off on the agreement saying that it would be submitted to the Little Rock School Board. There's a copy of that document in your packet. That really stunned us 25 hours later when we received an email stating that it was not being brought forth for a vote by the school board. So there are some issues that I've been asked to clarify. Mr. Coleman, who I can't speak about because he's not employed by y'all, went on medical leave in October. At that time, he was told by the lead negotiator for Little Rock School District that he would take care of getting an agreement together. We received the draft copy in January. During that, once it was received, we were asked several times by that person when we were going to hold the vote. The LREA Custodians Negotiations Team and Glenda Jones, who's taking Mr. Coleman's place temporarily, reviewed the document, and we had the vote in March. On April 24th, it was stated at this meeting, we will not do anything contrary to the original intent and purpose. It was also asked by a school board member for a quick resolution, to which the same person, chief negotiator, replied that it had been scheduled for the board agenda meeting, and most certainly it would be ready for that meeting, no doubt. Ms. Shepard, a school board member asked if there was any negative impact, and at that time was told no. Well, that's not exactly correct, because included in this negotiated agreement is, for the first time ever, 2 days of personal leave for our custodians. They've never had that before. Until you all take a vote, they don't get that. And then somewhere, you're going to owe them 2 days of personal leave for the year 2013-14, which is rapidly coming to a conclusion because it goes into effect as soon as it's voted on. So they are being impacted by the lack of a vote. Several times, another board member said that they didn't want the situation to occur where we went back into negotiations. The superintendent said that the final draft's not ready, but then he stated that the historian, and we would love to know who this historian is, said that this has never occurred where the contracts come and they're not, the typos and the grammatical errors are not fixed before they vote. Well, I don't know who the historian is, but I can say this. I've been on the negotiations team since the mid-1990s. I think that trumps anyone in this room and in this district at this point. And we have always brought the tentative agreements for ratification to get it done quickly once we get to the point that we agree, and then we go back and do the typos and grammatical errors and take care of that on the back end. So that was another inaccurate statement. Then we were told that and so I would like to see the historian's proof that it's been pulled back before, because we have yet to be provided that. Then we were told that by the superintendent that All we want is the opportunity to put it in a nice packet final format. You will approve it. I mean, we support this document after we reviewed it 100%. We want the custodians to have an agreement. And so then several board members said they'd like to see it agreed to within 3 weeks. And so then we moved to May 15th. All of a sudden we have a recommendation not to move forward on the advice of the attorneys. The attorneys say that they had not seen it until then. Now, I could sit here and go piecemeal through this, but in the interest of time, our attorneys see everything while we're in negotiations process. That's how it works. The idea of negotiations is to have the practitioners, the custodians, and the supervisors and the representatives from the district sit at a table and discuss each item. It is not to come to an agreement only to have it done by legalese. The time to talk to your attorneys is while negotiations are going on, not after the fact. Those are tentative agreements that have been agreed to by honorable men and women. And so one of the other things that was not exactly, someone has not been fully informed that was brought forward is that the negotiations teams changed. They did not. I have included in your packet 3 sign-in sheets, which are just a sample, that show that all the same people were at the table throughout the entire process. So there wasn't any change in who was representing it. The only change was the superintendent and the HR director. I'm not even going to relive the discussion last time. I will correct one other misstatement from the meeting 2 weeks ago. The last and you have it in there, the last custodians agreement was in 2000, and the question was posed by your attorney as to, he wasn't sure what had happened, so I can tell you there is a qualifier in board policy and in the contract that says that when membership levels drop below 50% plus 1, that you lose your recognition. In 2000, our custodian membership dropped below that level, and so we followed board policy a year and a half ago in December, as is your policy. We brought the documentation to prove that we had enough people back in the unit, and the school board at that time granted recognition to the custodians. So that will clear up that misunderstanding of how it happened. I have a bunch of questions that I'm not sure how you want me to handle this, but these are questions we would like answers to. And since I don't know any other way or time I'm supposed to get this, since we get no response from administration, I'm going to pose them now, and maybe someone of you will take notes and ask the questions later. Why were documents that were FOIA'd on May 1st, May at 5:30 p.m., 3:47 p.m., May 6th, May 10th, at 10:50 a.m. and May 15th at 6:07 p.m. altered? There are several items that have been blacked out on the emails, and is this a new policy that we're not aware of? What is an attorney's definition of substantive? Why would you want to create a different process for grievances for just the custodians when the process that is in the contract is what's used for everyone right now? The Arkansas Code says in 6-17-208, it requires every school district in Arkansas to adopt written grievance procedures for resolving concerns raised by an employee related to policy, salary, laws, regulations, or terms and conditions of employment. Relatively few matters concerning teacher and support work personnel conditions are covered by law. That's left up to the policies and practices of each district or negotiations. The point of negotiations is to sit down and talk about what is best to create a climate in which students flourish, whether or not that is about custodians, cafeteria workers, or teachers. When we began negotiations on the teacher contract and we had the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service come in and train both teams, many of whom the people are in this room right now, the very first thing we started out was, What was our purpose? It is to serve students, to create an environment they can flourish in. That was brought up at every session. It was brought up between the custodians. It's not about cleaning floors. It's about doing what's right so that students can flourish. The districts, I'm gonna skip this part because I don't want to cross any lines. I want to make you aware now, so you can check with the administration. There's some problems with the transportation agreement now that you all have already ratified, and there's 2 different agreements, and they're asking us to sign an MOU, but we didn't type it, we didn't do any of it, and we have problems with that. If anyone would like to note about that situation, we'll be happy to share. If this at this point makes your head swim like mine, imagine what it must be like for the reading recovery teachers, literacy coaches, math coaches, interventionists, Forest Heights Middle School staff, Geyer Springs Elementary, who have been subjected to processes to try to get a job or retain a job that does not match what they were told in their initial meetings. Spend too much time every day dealing with people. I had a mother call me crying, asking me what to do to keep the math coach at their school. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not in charge of that. That's not my purview. So, I mean, it has created massive frustration. You heard a parent speak earlier. There's still no resolution to where the employees are going to be. That's troublesome. We are at May 29th. It's time something happened. In a letter that went to the custodians earlier this week, we said that we would not engage our attorneys, and this was something I wanted to point out. During all the discussion, it seemed to be lost at times that no one has the right to direct our attorneys to do anything except LREA. And we kept hearing this conversation about we were directing our attorneys to meet with their attorneys. I immediately directed our attorney not to talk to y'all's attorney. We don't negotiate through attorneys. If we have a question about an article, we discuss it with our attorneys. But negotiations do not take place between attorneys. And we're not going to spend money to have it take place, and we're not going to break precedent and do it that way. If they want to talk to their attorneys during a contract negotiation about a specific article, fine, but not after it's been done. The purpose is not to set a minimum, which is state law, but to negotiate better so that we can do what the strategic plan that you adopted states and recruit and retain the most highly qualified employees in all positions. Are y'all aware that we've been hiring, we've had this outside custodial firm in our buildings called Metro? Do you know how much that's costing? They're in every building. They come in the afternoons. They are temps. They don't know our students. They don't know anything about our students. But even worse yet, we've had members come back and report that these people that are working for Metro shared with them that they are charged $35 off the top of each paycheck for the privilege of working in our schools, of having a job. That's a problem for me. That is a problem for us. It makes me morally indignant. So maybe you all would like to check on what's going on with this Metro group and what budget line that's coming from. So finally, we cannot move forward for the professional negotiated agreement until the Little Rock School District School Board takes an up or down vote. If you vote down the current agreement, that would require the tape, then we would return to the negotiations table. But if you believe that going back to the table would then force the changes that have been brought by the attorneys, that's not going to happen. What we have agreed to is what we have agreed to. Next time, have your attorneys check it on the front end. The time for your attorneys to advise the Little Rock School District team on an issue is during negotiations, not after the agreement is reached. LREA fully expects you to treat the custodians with dignity and the respect they deserve and vote on this agreement. Don't treat them like they are disposable capital. Thank you.
Thank you.